Hello, this is the 240th edition of Catch of the Day, available on the Branch Talk YouTube channel. Today, we're going to continue reading from a book written by Doug Mitchell, entitled The Four Carpenters, The Ensign, The Time of Jacob's Trouble, and The First Deliverance. Starting at the top of page 93, we read, "This does not mean that they do not see or speak to one another, but a separation in principle, rule, or guide." 1 SR 129. What is strange about the theory regarding the pre-kingdom slaughter in Davidia is that were such to occur now or in the near future, those who are promoting the theory would go down, as would most of those who are putting themselves forth as the leaders of the various Davidian factions, and many of their followers, because of the fact that they are not only teaching error in their theory, but are professing to be basing that theory on the rod, while at the same time rejecting the rod teachings concerning the continual unrolling of the scroll, and God's intention to continue to direct us through the living spirit of prophecy. Isaiah 62:1, "For Zion's sake I will not hold my peace, and for Jerusalem's sake I will not rest, until the righteousness thereof go forth as brightness, and the salvation thereof as a lamp that burneth." Here we are told that the Lord will continue thus to speak, not for the sake of the world, but for the sake of the church, so that she may eventually stand on Mount Zion with the Lamb, that he will thus continue until the righteousness thereof go forth as brightness, and the salvation thereof as a lamp that burneth. 1 TG 42:3 and 4. This verse, Isaiah 62:1, denotes that it will take much speaking and effort on God's part before righteousness and salvation will go forth out of Zion and Jerusalem. It is because God's people need a work to be done for them, that will cause him to continue speaking and working until righteousness and salvation are accomplished. We may be certain also that in this process we as a body will win, but some as individuals will lose out because they, like rebellious Israel of old, will not submit themselves to the necessary requirements that God lays before them. They refuse to exchange their ways for his ways and their thoughts for his thoughts. 12 SC 3.3. For those who are looking for the slaughter of Ezekiel 9 to be the next major event, we present the following. Article 2, Object. Section 1. The object of this association is to bring about among God's people that reformation called for in the Testimonies for the Church, Volume 9, page 126, as the prerequisite movement to sounding the 11th hour call, Matthew 20, verse 6 and 7, of the everlasting gospel to every nation and kindred and tongue and people. Revelation 14:6. The Leviticus, page 5. So, we see that the object of the Davidian association is not to bring about the slaughter of Ezekiel 9, but a reformation, and that as the prerequisite movement of the loud cry, the purpose of the rod message is to help the church avoid the slaughter. So why would those Davidians be looking for the slaughter to come among them and then the SDAs, because they think that with the ones they consider to be tares out of the way, they can work for the church unhindered, even though they don't have the complete sealing methods. Mystery of mysteries. That is, they can't be counted among those who are delivered at the voice of God, because it is said of the delivered ones that they are those who could wash one another's feet. Early Writings 15. As the washing of feet she speaks of there is that which accompanies the keeping of the Lord's Supper, and many Davidians believe that they won't be keeping that memorial until after the kingdom is set up. How could they be a part of those delivered and glorified ones, since the washing of feet she speaks of precedes the deliverance? Were the Davidians to come together today and prayerfully examine themselves in order to see that they are not causing trouble, and keep the Lord's memorial, receiving the great blessings that come with it, there wouldn't be the many divisions among them that we see today. Ye have seen also the breaches of the city of David, that they are many, Isaiah 22:9. Bear in mind that it is not the Sunday laws that purify the church, but it's the saints experiencing the Reformation of 9T 126, which is said to be the object of the Davidian movement, is the saints awakening to God's love for them, His love for them in graciously showing them the present truth of their true situation and providing them the remedy thereof. That brings the Reformation and brings the devil's anger upon the saints. As the Blue Sunday Law is to be enacted by Satan's own will, not by God's, then such a method to purify the church would not only be contrary to every inspired statement, but also to Satan's determined purpose. For his aim is not to bring the tares and then pluck them out, but rather to choke out the wheat by their continued presence. Neither is his intention to fulfill the prophecies, for that is what he would be doing if he should enact Blue Sunday laws, but rather defeat them. Therefore, if the church is to be purified by Satan's laws, he would be doing the work which God has assigned to his servants, and which he is to do himself. Is Satan working for God's or his church's interest, or against? If against, he will never do one thing to purify the church or to fulfill the prophecy. The only thing that would compel him to pass Blue Sunday laws and go to make war with the remnant of her seed, with those that are left, Revelation 12:17, is the purity of the church when God takes away the tares, which received not the mark. And even then, Satan will not enact Blue Sunday laws until after he has exhausted every other weapon against the church. Therefore, as long as the church remains in her present Laodicean condition, there will be no blue laws or war against her, but a bluff only to make her members believe that they are free from his snares and that he is still trying to cause them to fall. But the worst of it all is in that they are sound asleep, which is shown by the fact that they still think Satan is working terribly hard to fulfill God's word by trying to pass blue laws, and are not aware that he is only playing with them as a cat with a mouse. And the brethren, to whom the Lord has entrusted the spiritual interests of the people, Testimonies for the Church, Volume 5, page 211. In